Welcome to Lab 2 of PortSwigger's Web Security Academy. This is the lab finding and exploiting an unused API endpoint. Previously, I covered Lab 1, which is finding API documentation and exploiting an API. You can go ahead and check it out at the link provided. In this lab, we're to exploit a hidden API endpoint to buy a lightweight elite leather jacket. We're provided with login credentials Wiener and Peter. In order to solve this lab, we're required to know how to use error messages to construct a valid request, how HTTP methods are used in RESTful APIs, and how changing the HTTP method can reveal additional functionality. So all of this is covered in the information before the lab, so I definitely recommend checking that out. So without further ado, let's get to the lab. Alright, so I'm in Burp Suite's Chromium browser, and here we have the We Like to Shop application. The very first product we see here is a lightweight elite leather jacket, which costs $1,337. So we're supposed to buy this product by manipulating an API somehow. First, let's go ahead and add this URL to our target scope so we can filter out garbage. And here we can see a lot of that garbage so far, but we do have our target scope here. So let's go to scope, add, place our URL, okay, and let's click yes. Alright, let's go ahead and filter out all this garbage so we can only show what's in scope. Okay, great. So back in the browser, let's go ahead and log in. Alright, and we can see some basic information here. Username is Wiener, an email, a field to update our email if needed, and we can see that our stored credit is $0. So that may get your wheels spinning. How are we supposed to buy a product that costs $1,337 and we have no money? So let's go back home and let's try to add that to our cart and see what happens. Alright, so scrolling down, we can see some description, some information here. Your neighbor just bought 3 of these, don't feel left out. I doubt that he did. And we can see that we can change the quantity of the jacket that we want to buy. So let's go ahead and add this to cart. And let's check out our cart. Alright, so in our cart, we can see our store credit, the product, the price, the quantity. We're able to remove it, a coupon field, and the total. If we click place order, of course, it's not going to go through. It's going to say that we have insufficient funds, seen here. Okay, so let's go back to Burp. Let's actually go to Logger. This is a great Burp tool, by the way. If you don't have it, go ahead and install it. So it basically collects all of the requests that has gone through Burp so far. And I'm looking through here to see if I can find an API. So we have login. So here we have an API /API /product/1/price. In the response, we can see that the data is being sent in JSON format, and you can tell by the content type application/JSON. So JSON is a very easily readable, I wouldn't say a language, but a mechanism in which systems send data to communicate back and forth, and it's easier to extract or store this data. Here we see a price parameter with the value, which is the cost, And we have a message parameter, which is the message that we saw right above the quantity when we were taking a look at the product. So let's send this over to repeater. Okay, so we saw in the HTTP response that we get a price parameter and a message parameter. So we switch this request from get to post. Send. In the response, we get an invalid method error, 4 or 5 method not allowed. So this ties back to the required text that we saw here. Knowing how to use an error message to construct a valid request. So in the response error, we see that the only allowed methods are get and patch. So let's try patch here. Now we get a different message. Error 400, bad request, client error, only application/JSON content type is supported. Okay, so what does that mean? That's telling us that there is no application/JSON content type in our HTTP header, and we're not sending any information via JSON over to be updated by the patch method. What I want to do now is to go back to Logger, and I want to copy all of this information here. Back to repeater, and we're going to paste this information. All right, and I actually have a very handy Burp app. You can go ahead and download it from the Burp extension store. And as content type converter, it is mentioned in the information before this lab, so you can go ahead and check that out. And this will actually convert JSON to XML or convert XML to JSON. All right, and we can actually remove this message area because I only want the price updated. I don't really care too much about the message. All right, so we've set the price parameter to a value of 0, and we have the patch method going into request. So let's send. And great, we got a HTTP OK message, and it says that the price has been updated to $0. So now, next step is go back to the browser, go back to our application, and let's remove the leather jacket from our cart. Back to home. Nice, $0. Of course, we're gonna be able to buy something for $0 if we have $0 store credit, right? So let's add that to our cart again. Yeah, we'll be purchasing quick, all right. All right, and place your order. Congratulations, we solved the lab. I had a great time with this lab. I was able to find a solution by just getting my wheels turning in terms of if there's no API to update my store credit in this application, what if there's an API to change the price of the jacket to $0 so that I can purchase? And that's when I discovered that API endpoint, and I did some testing, manipulated it, and I was able to solve the lab. Thanks for sticking with me through this solution lab. On to the next one.